Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, insists that elections will hold as scheduled, rules out any plans to postpone the polls. National Peace Commission cautions politicians against inciting comments as United States vows to hold politicians to account for their actions during the elections. Gale of adoptions and last-minute alliances, the Social Democratic Party, SDP, adopts President Muhammad Buhari as candidate, while a faction of the Red Cap movement endorses Alhaji Atiku Abubakar for presidential elections. And 6 persons killed by gas explosion in South Africa's abandoned coal mine in Middelburg, with about 20 others still trapped.
On Business News tonight, President of MTN Group says telecoms giant will list its local subsidiary on the Nigerian Stock Exchange within the first half of this year.
And in sports news tonight, European football governing body UEFA re-elects Alexander Seferin as president for another 4-year term as he plans to changes to club competitions.
And from Abuja, Academic Staff Union of Universities suspends 3-month-old strike after meeting with federal government delegates.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has cleared all doubts, insisting it will go ahead to conduct the general elections on Saturday, February the 16th. INEC says that it has no plans to postpone the date of the exercise as being calculated and circulated in some quarters. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood was speaking at a meeting with leaders of political parties, European Union elections observers and security agencies in Abuja.
It's less than 10 days to the 2019 general elections, which will begin with the presidential election on February the 16th. This meeting between the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the European Union Election Observer Delegation, as well as heads of security agencies in Abuja, is part of a series of meetings to dot the I's and cross the T's before the election kicks off. INEC chairman assures citizens that the commission will not postpone the elections, as all is set for the conduct of the exercise.
Will INEC postpone elections? No, INEC does not intend to postpone any election. We will operate on the basis of the orders that we receive, but the Commission has also made contingency plans. In case some of the orders come close to the elections, we should be able to recover and conduct elections as scheduled.
Speaking against the backdrop of recent comments about foreign election observer missions by some political actors, the deputy head of the European Union Election Observer Delegation maintains that they are non-partisan, as their mission is to ensure credible elections. According to him, the delegation will not be intimidated from carrying out this mandate.
We are here to support no particular candidate, but to support a democratic process. I think we all want to say no to hate speech. We want to say no to intimidation.
However, both the Acting Inspector General of Police and the National Security Advisor assure that security will not be compromised during the elections.
I want to re-emphasize, for the benefit of any doubting Thomas, that these elections will not be compromised by the security agencies in this country.
There shall be no escort of VIPs by police personnel that day. Any policeman, whether in uniform or mufti, if he's seen escorting VIP on that day, he will be arrested.
Nigeria's much anticipated general elections is expected to begin on February the 16th, with 91 political parties, the highest number of political parties participating in an election since 1999.
Elections devoid of violence. That's the message from the former military head of state and chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, to politicians as the 2019 general elections draws near. General Abubakar is also asking major political actors in the country, particularly those taking elected positions, to do everything possible to ensure peace in the forthcoming general elections, noting that Nigeria is not a stranger to electoral violence. He was speaking at the peace conference organized by the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation in Abuja, where he also commended former President Goodluck Jonathan for conceding defeat and saving the nation from violence.
It's barely 9 days to the general elections, and at various fora, the need for violence-free elections keeps resonating.
Democratic Party,
At this gathering, which brings together former presidents and other African leaders, the message is clear: stop violence, embrace peace. The former military president, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, speaks on why politicians must tow the path of peace during and after the elections.
As we all know, peace is absolutely necessary for the survival of our nation, because without a peace, there will be no nation. Without a nation, there wouldn't be any election.
His view is supported by the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto State, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, and former President of Liberia, Mr. Amos Sawyer. While Bishop Kuka sees those perpetrating violence as an economic investment for the impoverished, Mr. Sawyer raises concerns about the use of social media to incite violence.
Actually, for ordinary poor people, participating in electoral violence is actually an investment. In part because if you succeed, you could go home with a television, which you never had before. If you succeed, you could go back with a mobile phone, which you never had. So for the poor, it can actually be an investment.
The new technology of the social media now poses significant challenges to the flow of information and increases the risk of incitement and conflict.
And for the man who is being celebrated as a true democrat, politicians must always put the concerns of the people first before personal interest.
We charge our political leaders to be more interested in how we improve the quality of life of our people, instead of thinking about the positions. I urge the electoral umpire, in this case of Nigeria INEC, and the security services to make sure that they are fair to all.
While the government has promised to ensure violent-free elections, Nigerians will hope that suggested rest here will be fully implemented to achieve this dream.
That same message of peace during the polls has been re-echoed by the United States government, saying there will be severe sanctions against those making hate comments or inciting people to violence during the polls. The U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Stuart Symington, says that anyone found culpable will be held to account in the event of any political violence in Nigeria. He explains that the present government, both at the federal and state levels, came in to mean of credible, free and fair elections that political leaders must uphold in 2019. Mr. Symington was speaking to journalists in Benue State after a meeting with Governor Samuel Ortom.
He asks you to do something that is not right and says the boss wants you to do it, or the person at the top wants you to do it, don't believe it. Because the person at the top is saying, and I think honestly saying, they want to win a fair election. And there's a reason not to believe it. Because we all know that a citizen is responsible for their own actions. They're responsible first to their God, second to their conscience, third to the laws of Nigeria, fourth to the court of public opinion in Nigeria, and then finally to international law and the rest of us. So the last thought is, if people say things that, whether they intend it or not, might lead to hate or cause people to think of violence, they'll be held to account.
And staying with politics, the National Executive Council of the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, has adopted President Muhammad Buhari as its consensus candidate ahead of the February the 16th presidential election. The adoption took place in Abuja after the party's INEC meeting, where a communique was issued and adopted by members present. The National Vice Chairman, Dr. Abdul Ahmed Ishaq, explains that the party is adopting President Buhari because the battle for its presidential ticket between former Minister of Information, Professor Jerry Gana, and the former Governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Duke has indeed taken a toll on the party. He insists that the adoption was only for the forthcoming presidential elections and not the merger between the SDP and the APC. The national chairman of the party, Chief Olufalaye, was absent at the meeting.
SDP has a better chance of gaining lost grounds in meeting with the yearnings of Nigeria. We have no doubt whatsoever that Nigeria will surely make progress and leap forward in the march to greatness through the resolution of pending challenges and progressively to the next level. In view of all this, that the National Executive Committee (INEC) of the Social Democratic Party resolved to adopt the APC presidential candidate of our All Progressive Congress as the candidate of the party for the 2019 presidential election. Consequently, all members of the Social Democratic Party are hereby notified by this very stand. And for avoidance of doubt, the National Executive Committee restates that this is not a merger between SDP and APC.
Meanwhile, the faction of the Red Card Movement, which is a political pressure group inaugurated by Mrs. Oby Ezekwesili last year, has endorsed the PDP presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. A factional leader of the movement, Mr. Tony Akabulo, told journalists that his group has dissociated itself from one of its co-founders, Mrs. Oby Ezekwesili, and endorsed Alhaji Atiku Abubakar for next week's presidential elections because of the urgent need to salvage Nigeria from the ruling party. Members of the movement also revealed that the endorsement is the last option for the group after several failed attempts to midwife in a coalition of an alternative force to wrestle power from the APC.
We, the leaders of RCM, the Red Card Movement, are not in doubt that Atiku Obi ticket is the most efficacious brand that can send Buhari to Daura. We have come today to tell the world and our members that the state champions, the co-chair, Dr. Tony Akabulo, and other co-conveners have dissociated from Dr. Oby Ezekwesili and today declare support for the Atiku Obi presidency. Some co-conveners were of the opinion that we should not go into any arrangement with PDP. This one suggested a sit-down-look approach. We believe it is a myopic and grandiose delusion for anyone to think that any other political party can dislodge this failed APC apart from PDP. We are on the ground, we know what is happening. We feel that those who demonize His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar are either envious, hateful, or ignorant.
Still ahead on the news at 10, political parties intensify campaigns across the country as the elections draw closer. Please stay with us.